Well, hello grade 9s. This is Mrs. Latour, and I'm going to show you how to solve some EQAO open response questions. The first problem we're going to solve is an algebra one. And in this diagram, we are seeing algebraic expressions used to represent the lengths of each side of this figure. You are asked to find the unsimplified expression for the total area and then simplify your expressions below. But the first problem you need, or the first thing you need to know, is that area of a rectangle is A equals length times width. In my diagram, I can divide my figure into two rectangles. There's the first rectangle that shows the first area, and there's the second rectangle. My unsimplified expression for the total area of this figure will be A equals length times width of my first rectangle, 7x bracket 3x minus 3, and the second area is the smaller rectangle, which is length times width here, so I'm going to add x times 5x. So that's the first part of the problem, is to be able to come up with an unsimplified expression for the total area of the rectangle. On this slide, I'm going to show you how to simplify that expression. You need to expand and collect like terms. To expand, you have to recall the distributive property, which means that you're taking the outside term and you're going to multiply it through one at a time. So 7x times 3x makes 21x squared. 7x times minus 3 makes minus 21x, and then it's x times 5x. Oh, and you are adding your expressions together, so put the plus sign in. Plus 5x squared, because x times x makes x squared. Your final answer must be simplified completely. Right now I see two like terms. If you have like terms, you are asked to collect the like terms by combining their coefficients. So the 21x squared and 5x squared are considered to be like terms. The final total area can be expressed as 26x squared minus 21x. And there you go. And that's the answer they would like to see. Question number 2 is an analytic geometry problem. It reads, a company charges schools to print programs for school plays. Information about the linear relation between the total cost and the number of programs printed is shown in the table. Determine an equation to represent the situation. This is a situation where you need to find y equals mx plus b. And in order to do that, we have to find the rate, which is m, and then the initial value, which is b. So when you're given a table, the fastest or easiest way to get your rate is to do the first differences for the cost and then for the number of programs. 250 minus 220 is 30. 500 minus 350 is 150. The rate is the first difference of the cost divided by the first difference of the number of programs. So it's 30 divided by 150. It is important that you reduce to lowest terms, and in this case you can actually convert it to money. So this is 1/5, which is also the same thing as saying 20 cents. In this scenario, we can actually say that it costs 20 cents per program. That's the meaning of the rate. To get the initial value, you need to use the equation y equals mx plus b and calculate b by using a value for x, y, and m. I would consider my n to be the x value and the 220 to be the y value. So you would read it as 220 equals m, which is already found right here, 0.20 times 350 programs plus b. And now we just have to calculate what 20 cents times 350 comes out to, and it's $70. You can use your calculator to do that. And then you want to subtract $70 from 220, and that will get us 150. And now this tells me that for 0 programs, the cost is $150. My conclusion is the equation, therefore, the equation is y equals 0.20 x plus 150. Or if you like to use the variables cost, c and n, that's another solution that is also acceptable and maybe even better. And there you go. That's how you get the equation from a table. The third problem we are solving is it deals with analytic geometry and linear relations. The first step you should take is to know that if they are looking for which equation is in this, which is equation is represented by y equals -1/2 x plus 3, it means that you have to isolate the y value from each of the two equations given. So here's the two equations given. The first step in isolating the value is to target your y and move the x and the 6 over to the other side. So you have -x minus 6. Then to remove the -2, I can get the y by itself. The -2 will be on the other side, but as a division, because on the left hand side it says multiply. Now you want to divide. The final equation will read y equals 1/2 x plus 3. When you look at line 2 has another equation. This is in standard form, just like the first equation. So standard form equations can be converted into y equals mx plus b by taking it step by step and doing opposite operations to get rid of the other parts. So we're going to do 6y equals, the 3 is now moved over to become -3x, the minus 18 becomes plus 18. And just like the other side, I will bring the 6 over and divide my right hand side with a 6, just like that. And don't forget to simplify your expression so you can get to the final answer. If you recall, the question's asking us which equation matches the given equation. So line 1 had a positive slope and line 2 has a negative slope. The y-intercepts are the same for both. So I would conclude that line 2 is the correct line that matches the given line. The last problem I will do with you is measurement and geometry. In this problem, a regular hexagon, which is this, the hexagon, and a regular pentagon are joined as shown below. Complete the table below to find the values of x and y. I'm not going to use a chart, so I'm going to explain on the side with all the geometric properties that you need to know. So step 1 in solving this problem is to solve for x. I will solve for x. In a hexagon, there are 6 sides. And you need to remember that if you are solving for interior angles, the inside angles, you need to do the sum of all the interior angle formula, which is 180 n minus 2. N represents number of sides. So in a hexagon, we have 6 sides. So 180, 6 subtract 2 goes into the formula. 180 times 4 is equal to 720 degrees. We're not done until you take 720 and divide it by the 6 sides. It's a regular hexagon, which means all the angles are the same. So 720 divided by 6 equals 120 degrees. So x is 120 degrees. To get the y value, I need to draw into the diagram that this part of the angle is 120, that y is missing, and the other part is not 120. It is actually a different value because we have a pentagon. So the sum of the angles in a pentagon is 180. 5 subtract 2, which is 180 times 3, which I will just take the shortcut and figure out that it's 540 degrees. 540 divided by 5 equal angles is equal to 108 degrees. So now what we just found here is that the inside angle of a pentagon is 108 degrees. To get the y, you need to know that a full circle makes 360 degrees. If you have 108 and 120, then y must be the difference between the two. So 108 and 120 makes 228. 360 minus 228 gives you 132. So therefore, y equals 132 degrees. Thanks for watching. For more questions on EQAO open response or multiple choice questions, please go to this site, bit.ly/grade9 EQAO.